What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and today I want to talk about something that I've been kind of tossing around in my head for a little bit, and I don't really have an answer to, so I'd really just like to get some discussion going about that. And it's college soccer. Does it still have a place in American soccer? I'm somebody who's typically been pretty critical of traditional, well, MLS has been around since '96, but traditional American soccer paths like I've been very critical of the MLS lately, which I don't really like doing. Just kind of came out like that. I enjoy the MLS. I watch the Philadelphia Union like every chance I can get, but college soccer is something that's kind of been uh not slammed, but it's accepted that it's not the best path forward for American players. And even though we have had good players emerge from the college system, it's more they've emerged despite that rather than because of it. And so I want to talk about, does it really have a place? And just before I get started, like, great players should obviously avoid this route. Like, even if I say, oh, college soccer, we should, no. Great players should avoid it. Pulisic, Reyna, McKinney, they all should not have even considered it. I don't think they did. I feel like Weston McKinney might have, but they shouldn't even have considered it. The reason that I really wanted to make this idea, because the idea came in my head of, man, Jack Harrison really did, like, a traditional American path, even though he's from England. Like, he went to American high schools and, like, actually played in American high schools, which, like, is pretty rare. And then went to college, went to the MLS, got signed by Man City. Now he's a starter in the Premier League at Leeds. Like, he did everything right. Like, by an American standard. Like, it's so weird to see, like, that path actually, like, work out and lead to the Premier League. Like, aside from, like, Clint Dempsey and goalkeeper, no, Tim Ream did as well. Like, it's happened before, but it's weird to see it, like, work that well. So, like, the idea comes, like, is college actually hindering, or is it just the quality of players just hadn't been there? I mean, like, as before with our previous generation, like, Clint Dempsey did go to college, Tim Howard didn't, Landon Donovan didn't. But a good amount of players did, and they were still talented players. So, and it was really like with the previous generation, like kind of like hit or miss with our great players. Like they could have gone, they could have not. It didn't really seem to affect them. And what I'm saying is maybe it doesn't really affect our development at that point, because when you go back to Jack Harrison, he was in Manchester United's academy for like half of his life before he went to America. And maybe at that point, he was already developed as a player. And I hear this as a sentiment surrounding like youth national teams is like, come like a certain point, like really early on, you need to have like these skills, like the mental side of the game, like ingrained inside you if you want to even like qualify to become a great player. It's like this stuff that you need, like the intangibles, like the mental sides, things like checking your shoulders, like having that as a habit, like knowing the ball, having your first touchdown, like stuff like that. It's usually, there's like a theory that that's developed in you like a lot younger than we would think. Like there are like Hall of Famers in like basketball and football who really only started taking the sport seriously in high school. Matt Turner's an example of that actually in soccer, but to like truly qualify for being a great player, you need to have that thing ingrained in you early on. And that's before you would end up going to college. And I just think about it like, you know, America produces good goalkeepers. Like that's a thing we have. And, or had. No, we still have. Like, I mean, Steph and Turner, they're Premier League players. They might be backups, but they're Premier League players. And, like, we've always been able to produce those goalkeepers well. And I hear some discourse about, like, oh, you know, Zach Steffen went to college. Matt Turner went to college. It's like, you know, maybe there's, like, something in the college game that, like, actually translates to getting good goalkeepers. I was like, well, maybe we just have good goalkeepers. And going to college didn't impact it at all. I mean, you could say, like, okay, well, players have only been so good when they've come out of college. Well, players have only been so good when they come from America in general. And if we really want to get technical, Santiago Solari, who a Real Madrid player, started in Champions League finals, one starting in a Champions League final, spent a semester at a D3 school, Stockton University. Now, that wasn't any part of his development. He just stayed there after watching the World Cup in '94. But by technicality, like, he was there. And college, like, I don't really think it's that much different from something like the Premier League 2 or MLS Next, where you're still competing at, like, a pretty high level. Like, or pretty high level within your age group. And honestly, maybe it even benefits a little bit more, because when you're in a college team, winning can get prioritized over player development, and maybe that can help a player's mental side. That's just me, I don't know, talking. Like, don't take that as a fact. Like, but I don't know, maybe it can help, and maybe it is, like, something that can be good. Like, I don't know, I just wanted to talk about this because I feel like maybe, like, developing our players earlier, like, is more important, and we shouldn't use stuff like college soccer as an excuse. Like, I don't think anybody's, like, advocating to get rid of it. Like, I think we understand, giving out scholarships is definitely a good thing, but I don't know, maybe it does have a place, and if that place is just picking up, like, late developers, giving them an opportunity, and whatever that may be, I think it does still have a place. Obviously, if you're a really good player, you should avoid it. Just like, honestly, just like baseball and basketball, football should probably have that option where if you're a really good player, just go straight to the pros or straight to G League Ignite or whatever. But, like, I think it can still have a place and can still be used to develop players. Which, let me know if what do you think? Because if you think, oh, it's just a terrible thing, you should be playing at a pro competition, you should be playing at a pro level all the time. Even if you're not getting playing time, that training session with top tier players is going to be more important than playing at a lower level. And if you say that, I'd say, okay, that's a pretty good argument. I'd probably agree with that more. But if you say, okay, I think that playing time is more important, spending time on the field is more important than training, even if the training is at a higher level, that game time is important and needed for development. It's like, oh, that's a good argument too. So, I don't know. What do you think? Does college soccer still have a place in American soccer? Or is it just something of the past that players should avoid like the plague? I don't know. Just my thoughts on that. I'm going to put this out there. But yeah, so I'll talk right now. See ya.